I don't know about you, but they're affecting me greatly today. Not only the platinums, but I had a whole gig written out for myself to introduce my mother today. Anybody hear the name Bonnie Taylor before? And I'm just going to throw that out the window and just kind of wing it now. Love, courage, and perseverance. Aaron is right. Love is where it's at. And the courage to do it, and the perseverance to keep going no matter what's in your way. The difference between an everyday person and the people sitting in these front rows today, these platinums, these golds, all of you that are future platinums and golds, is just the obstacle of yourself. They took that rock, Aaron's rock, and they took it from being an obstacle to being a solution. And that's exactly what my mom did in her life. I'm sorry. A lot of you know what happened just before the last convention. She had a stroke that pretty much left her unable to do anything. And she still made it to that convention, and she still gave the speech of her life. It was great. But the biggest transformation has happened from then to now. She never gives up. She never quits. And she instills that upon everybody that she touches, everybody she gives that inspiration to. She instills that upon them, and she makes sure that you're that same way when you leave her presence. She's taught me so much over the years. We had a team bond celebration just the other night, and she was dancing. I don't think I have to tell you any more about that than just to introduce her now. Will you please join me in welcoming back to the For Life stage, Platinum International Diamond, Bonnie Taylor.
That's not fair. I didn't want to come out here crying. I'm sorry. Hello, everybody. I can't tell you how special it is to be here. It really means a lot to me. I'm sorry, but I'm choked up from my son, Kurt. And here we are, we're all here to live our dreams, right? All of us. So I assume that you're here because you're actually daring to live your dreams. And I congratulate you because dreams are where it all begins. So I say to you, if you can dream, then begin it. If you have longing, acknowledge it. If there is a mission, commit to it. If there is daring, do it. And you know that's my motto anyway. If you're waiting, why are you waiting? Just do it. Your life will only begin when you do. So each of you came here for some kind of success, and I imagine that you want it to be extraordinary success, right? Not mediocrity, right? Okay. Our industry, and particularly our company of 4Life, they offer extraordinary success if and when you apply yourself. None of us at the platinum and gold levels got here by accident, not any of us. We all got here by hard work. This is not a get-rich-quick scheme, not where you enroll and wait for the big checks to arrive, not that way. This is a working program, and you've heard all the speakers say that it will give you the most incredible lifestyle you could ever dream of. So are you willing to work for your own success? Okay. Now remember that. It's not up to your upline to do it for you. It's not up to your downline to do it for you. It's up to you. It's all up to you and what you're willing to do for your own success and your future. One thing you can be sure of, if you're willing to go to work in the process of building this business, you will become so much better than you are today. Our industry provides world-class lessons in becoming all we can be. All you have to do is make the decision to do it, and then do it. No excuses, no whining and crying that you can't. No hiding in the wings afraid to do anything. And some of you feel that way, I know, but no way, you can't do that. Just go out every single day and do what you've learned to do. Just do it. You can live every day of your life. After hearing Aaron Ralston speak, I mean, don't you want to live every day of your life? You know, the law of inertia holds that a body at rest tends to remain at rest, and a body in motion tends to stay in motion at the same speed and in the same direction as you're going, unless it's acted upon by some outside force. And with one major difference, this law applies very well to the pattern of our lives. In 4Life, people who are successful tend to remain successful. People who are happy tend to remain happy. People who are respected tend to remain respected. People who reach their goals tend to go on reaching their goals. So what's the major difference? In physics, inertia is controlled by outside forces. But the real changes in the direction of our lives comes from inside of us. A person can alter their life by the attitude of their mind. You can live every day of your life. You can be alive to the tips of your fingers. You can accomplish virtually anything worthwhile for yourself. I'm going to deviate here for just a minute because I know most of you know my story, but there's a lot of new people here, right? So I'm going to bore you with my story again. Okay. My mother actually had become very, very sick, and she ended up in a coma. And she went into the hospital, and I took all of my savings and all of my retirement and everything to try to save her life and bring in the best doctors and the best care in the world. And she did get that, but we didn't win the war with her. She actually ended up passing away. And in that whole course, I lost my home. I lost everything, my car, my credit, everything I owned. So I was homeless, and I was $250,000 in debt, 58 years old and single. I was bewildered, and I wasn't sure what path to take to solve that situation. But thank goodness I had already had 24 years in network marketing, and at that point I had been trained well to think in terms of solutions instead of thinking in terms of problems. And when I was homeless, I knew I didn't want to live in a cardboard box, but I can tell you that if I had ended up in a cardboard box, I decided it was going to be the cutest cardboard box anybody ever saw. But you know what? That's not the path that I chose. I knew that was not a solution, and it would have to be something that I would have to accept in order for me to live that way, and I didn't want to accept that. Instead, my training to think in terms of solutions kicked in, and I began to ponder ideas of what I could do. Being 58 years old and single, I thought, you know, what am I going to do? Like I told you, my mom had no medical insurance, and I had used all my savings and all my retirement, so I had nothing. And when she passed away, my father was so depressed. Within 2 months, he died as well. And there I was, by myself with $250,000 in debt. It was not a fun place to be, and I know there's some of you out in the audience that are in debt also. But I've been there, and it changed. So what was the solution then? And I pondered that. And I pondered and pondered it until it dawned on me that there were a whole bunch of vacant homes in my town, and they were for sale. And I know that owners don't like to leave their homes empty. So I borrowed a car, and I drove around the neighborhoods that I liked. I made sure they were nice neighborhoods. I drove around, and I wrote down all the homes that were for sale by owner. And I contacted 60 of these homes, and honestly, most of them laughed at me. But I suggested to them that I house sit their house while it was empty until they sold it. And out of all the 60 people that laughed at me, there were 5 that did not. And you know what? Being a network marketer, I was used to rejection, so it wasn't something that really bothered me. But I knew I had to keep looking. And so the first person that offered me a position, I quickly moved in. This home had a swimming pool. It had beautiful blue carpets, no furniture. I had no furniture, but it had one chair at the kitchen sink that I could use and one box spring without a mattress, and that quickly became my new bed. And you know what? That wasn't a cardboard box, but it was probably the cutest place I could find being homeless. It was pretty special. So don't give up, anybody that's having trouble out there. Since I no longer had good credit, I had no money at all. And so I had to borrow money to get a prepaid phone, and that was my communication with the outside world. And not very long after that, you may not know Dr. Gary Hagan, he's my upline. But he called me to tell me about For Life, and I was so depressed about losing my parents and my lifestyle, that I wasn't interested. I didn't want to hear any of this. But Gary's a true networker, and he called and called and called me over and over again. But during my mother's illness, I was so stressed that my face broke out in sores. There were actually 40 of them on my face, and they would bleed, and it was horrifying to me. But Gary kept calling me and kept calling me to tell me about transfer factor. He told me it would help my face. It was because of his persistence that it caused me to listen, and that's a lesson for all of you. He called and called and called, and finally he sent me the product. I didn't realize it, but he had enrolled me. And here I was with the product. So when it arrived, I was annoyed because I hadn't agreed to anything, and I just stuck it in the kitchen drawer. And he kept calling and calling, saying, "Bonnie, this is going to help your face." So finally, I opened the capsules, and I made a little paste out of it, and I put it on my face. You see, all during that time that my mom was in the hospital, the doctors had tried everything for these sores, and nothing would clear it up, so I didn't believe anything. But I made this little paste, and I put it on my skin, and in 12 hours, I started getting little scabs over the top of my sores. I'm looking in the mirror in shock. I'm going, wow, this can't even be real. Every doctor in the world that I had met had tried something. And so in 2 weeks, they were gone. So now all I have to do is get a facelift, right? That's all. But this got my attention. I had to have the belief in the product, and it really got my attention. So I was thinking about, what am I going to do with my life? I can't keep sitting empty houses. What am I going to do? How am I going to pay for my life? I had been praying for an answer, and I didn't realize that the answer was right in front of my face. So I can tell you that miracles are pretty wonderful. And it was a miracle because it was right there. So I decided that I really did not want to be working at McDonald's at 58 years old. And so I started taking Gary seriously, and he started teaching me every step of the way we all should with our new groups. And we took one day at a time and one person at a time with tons of rejection. We had rejection up the yin-yang. Don't ever worry about that, you know. New distributors have this emotional where they get real excited and then they get very disappointed. And then they get very excited and then they get very disappointed. But when you're around long enough, like you've heard Jeff and Ray today, that this up and down feeling that you have starts going into a wave, and pretty soon it becomes a straight line where you don't even feel rejection. You don't hear a no. A no doesn't exist. And I can tell you, almost everybody that says no to you will turn around someday and say yes. I have a perfect example sitting on my couch right over here. Gold International Barbara Wagner told me for 7 months no. And now she's a gold. Was she worth it? And so now our team has grown so big. We've grown all over the world with our biggest focus on having distributors in Asia, from Australia to China, and we're so excited about all of them. I'm so proud of my team, and all of you out there in the audience that are in Team Bond. I want you to know that I just appreciate you so much, and I'm so proud of what you've done. It took me, I started making calls with Gary in the beginning, and it took me 30 days to become a diamond, another 30 days to become a presidential, and then I didn't become an international until the end of my first year. And then it was another 2 or 3 years after that for me to become gold, and then two more years to become platinum. And I have people in my team now just running circles around me with what they're doing. I mean, they're becoming international diamond in 3 weeks, and I'm learning from them. It's so awesome. But I can tell you, this has been the best decision of my life. It really has, and I think it's the best that you've made. You know, it took lots and lots of hard work, but it was a lot of fun along the way. And I've made some of the best friends in my whole life in this business, lifelong friends that are going to be there forever. And now I've been in For Life 15 years. I can tell all of you, there's no finer company, there's no finer management team, there's no finer products, no better compensation plan. I don't know how much more any of you could ask for, right? And honestly, I've been around the block a few times. I've been in a few companies like most of you have, and this is the very, very best. Now, I live in a beautiful home with my family. I drive my favorite car. I'm out of debt. And my favorite thing is that I take my whole family with me all over the world. We've been all over the world. And all of them can come with me. How would you like to do that? And even better, I can tell you, the best part is that every day we're helping other people, every day, to realize their dreams. And this makes you wake up every morning feeling differently. You wake up with a smile instead of dreading a day of work. You know that you're going to change somebody's life. You're going to make somebody healthier. You're going to make somebody wealthier. I just want to tell you, don't hold anything back. Give For Life your all while you can. We can never take things for granted. One more part of my story, which I think is a compelling part of my story, is what Kurt was telling you about in Philadelphia. I had just had a stroke. And at that time, I had just had the stroke, and only 2 months before convention. But I thank God for Transfer Factor. I was able to attend that convention. And you know, I totally attribute that to Transfer Factor. I was in a little bit of shock because I said to my doctor, well, that was a little stroke, right, doctor? And he said, no, Bonnie, that was not a little stroke. It was the size of a golf ball in your brain. It kind of shocked me. He said it was not a small stroke. And I attribute that to Transfer Factor. I was taking it before my stroke, and I think that was what really did it, is I was taking it before, during, and after. And it really helped me to recover. And now with Renuvo, oh good heavens, I'm more excited about that product than any of you. But I want to tell you, build your business now. Don't take it for granted while you can. You know, during my recuperation, I didn't expect to have a stroke, but I had already built my business, thank God. And during that time, my checks grew. Can you believe that? Where can that happen? Where in the world can your checks grow when you're homesick? Take your business seriously and build it while the opportunity is here right now. It's not always going to be this way, so take advantage of it while you can. Don't be afraid to work. Give it your all. In fact, I want you to work harder than you've ever worked in your whole life right now. And remember, it's not what happens to you that matters. It's not what happens to you that matters. It's how you respond that matters. So I want to give you a few things to think about, okay? A few things to think about. Chance favors those in motion. You should write that down. Chance favors those in motion. Our strength lies in our tenacity. Courage is fear holding on 1 minute longer. Isn't that Aaron Ralston, for heaven's sake? And it's not where you start, but where you finish that counts. Have the courage to live, because anybody can die, right? Have the courage to live and live every moment. So are you going to settle for an ordinary life, or are you going to settle for an extraordinary life? Since you know what we have already, it's a shame for you to waste it. Your time is right now. I encourage you to learn the world-class lessons that you're going to learn as you build your own success. Let me give you some more things to think about as you make your decision. We don't see things as they are. We see things as we are. And the only thing that stands between a person and what they want is the will to try and the faith to believe. So no, it's up to you to have both. Believe that you can do it. And let's talk about, for a minute, let's talk about turning mediocrity into greatness. Let's do that with all of you here. How do you see yourself? Are you middle class or are you world class? And I'm not talking about your bank account, okay? It actually refers to how you approach the challenges that you face. Excuse me. I want you to listen carefully and judge yourself and be honest with yourself, or it's not going to do any good for you. Excuse me. What distinguishes the world-class performers from those who are just being good enough? And so judge yourself, okay? The middle class are frustrated. The world class are grateful. The world class creates. The middle class avoids risks. The world class manages risks. The middle class loves to be comfortable. The world class is comfortable being uncomfortable. Isn't that Aaron Ralston? For heaven's sake. The middle class focuses on having. The world class focuses on being. The middle class has pipe dreams. The world class has vision. The middle class is problem-oriented. The world class is solution-oriented. The middle class sees itself as a victim. The world class sees itself as responsible. The middle class thinks it knows enough. The world class is eager to learn. The middle class chooses fear. The world class chooses growth. If you're working towards peak performance, you want to go from good to great. And isn't that what this industry is all about? Becoming the best that we can be and more than when we began? Yes. So, I encourage you to go from good to great. Believe in yourself. Learn those secrets of champions. They are the secrets of the world class. If you know, it's your choice. Go make this happen. Believe that you can do it. Believe in yourself. And you know why? Because you can do it. You really can, honest. If I can do this, you can do it. Okay? Okay? I just want you to know that I really love all of you so much. I hope you know that from me. I try to get out there and see you when I can. But I love all of you, and I just love this business, and I'm so thankful for David and Bianca Lisenby and For Life and Transfer Factor. I would not be standing here today. And now we have Dr. Lockwood on top of it all, which is so great. But anyway, I love you all, and I hope I can shake each of your hands someday. Thank you so much.